Thor Smith here with the Buck and Stock News. I'm here with H.D. Page at D&H Cattle Company. We just got done bucking some calves on a practice session, right-hand delivery calves. It was a pretty good day. What do you think, H?
Yeah, I thought it's pretty good. It's their third trip on the right, and we've been working them a little bit. And I was telling you earlier, my setup's not really great for right-hand delivery calves because the pins and everything's off to their left, and I have trouble getting them to turn right. So we got about 3 or 4 of them to hook up and find their spot today. So I'm pretty excited about that. So it's a good session, And there's some possibilities out of some of those other ones. We're getting ready for some sales. June's a big month for us. We've got our cow sale coming up, and then our yearling bull sale during the Heritage, and then our incentives right in the middle of all that. So we got to give $100,000 away that day, on the 5th. So and I haven't even messed with mine. I have been so hooked up with the cow sale and the yearlings that I've just neglected the 2-year-olds for the last week or two. So I've got to get into them this week. But yeah, it's been a busy time. But it's a good session today anyway. So we gained a little ground on them.
What do you think stood out today in the yearling bulls?
That little F20, was really good, and 57 was a little black that hooked up right there and bucked good. And there was a stone sober calf that I was really high on.
55.
55 was good also. 839, the little stone sober.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's a long time, but I kind of got a late start on them. I'm bad about putting it off, but what that happens is the cream kind of rises to the top, and so we bucked them once or twice every week for 7. Some of them had 8 trips now. So then they've had it at least once a week, so a lot of times twice a week. So the weaker minded or weaker hearted calves are falling away, and since I've put the catalog together, I've had to redo it, reshuffle them a few times because the calves that were really good starting off have fell off now, and some of them that I didn't see coming have stepped it up, So that's what I like to do in that sale is you put 6, 8, 9, 10, 12 trips on them in that many weeks, then the best calves kind of come to the top.
Yeah, you really know what you're selling at that point.
Yeah, and then I can feel confident in selling them. When I say I feel confident in selling you some calves that are going to be competitive, well, that's how I can say that because, the weaker ones have went out to pasture, and I've concentrated on the ones that are trying to hook up and buck.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're going to watch a few of these calves buck right now, and we'll get into some story time here in a minute.
So. Awesome.
HD, as we watch you here in the buck and shoots, put the flank on and the dummy on, man, is there anything special that you're looking for in those calves before you nod, or tell us about your shoot procedure?
Right at this point, I'm just trying to get everything on there quiet and kind of in rhythm, I guess you could say. I don't want them to get startled or if I can keep from it, just kind of do the same thing every time and just do it soft and as quiet as you can and get them out of there. I don't try to get them in a certain position or in any kind of lead. I just want them half standing in a good position where they can get out of there without wrecking their hip or whatever. But
I saw you take a couple of them and pull that dummy to the back of the buck and shoots before leaving out of there. Is that just to make sure they're not leaning on it?
Yeah, just to, sometimes if they do lean on that gate, they have a tendency to want to buck in there first. Seems like when they hear that gate and there's nowhere to go. Where if they're pulled to the back, when they hear that latch, they can get their head turned at least before they kick, and at least they got somewhere to go. So that's about it. Just and a lot of them, especially out of the right, like we were trying to do today, they've been bucked 3 or 4 times on the left prior to this, so they think their left side's where they're going to get the opening, so they're naturally kind of leaning that way anyway. So that's about it. But I see, and I don't do it, and it's something that a guy should. But I go through 150 plus calves, and so I just don't take the time to dry work them like I should. But that'd be the smartest, I think, thing to do.
Well, we ran everything through today once or twice before we bucked
Right.
it. Make sure they knew where the hole was,
Yeah, and that's something that we just started doing on the rights, because it's just like like I told you earlier, the way my deal's set up, it's like every right, it's like you're starting all over. They want to go, they'll go, one can go left or go right 5 times out of the left-hand delivery, and I move them to the left or to the right, and they go left. So we did that today, and Hayden Shaw's been up helping me, and I set it up, and I set up a little arena. I put about 10 panels up to work them out of the left, and he's like, no, we're not doing all that. So we put up 3 panels and made them turn right out of there, and I got to hand it to him. It helped. There's 4 or 5 calves out of that set that hooked up right there just from dry working them. That's about that's probably 4 times they've been through their dry, and those good calves, and it's kind of like a good horse or anything else. They're a lot easier to work with, and those good calves hooked up and done what you asking them to do. But
one of the best ones today was a pretty bull called F20. What did he look like out of the left hand that made you want to move him over to the right?
He just went right every time. He always had a big move left and kicked and went right, and that's the deal. He just always has wanted to go right, so we tried him to the right.
F20 looked really good. Top of the day, maybe. Is he good enough to enter?
He's definitely got the tools to enter. I don't know if he's dialed in enough or any of that stuff. Or I've never even kept them up overnight. They've never been in a pen, and I've bucked them. That's probably his 7th trip, and in that many weeks. And every time we've bucked them, and they go right back out to the trap. So they live in a 5 or 6, 7 acre trap out there. So, but I've got to start doing that. I cut the best 6, 7 of them off, and put up in a pen so we can start hand feeding them a little bit and getting them used to the situation they're fixing to have to deal with. So,
how's F20 bred?
He's a hocus pocus out of a hustling daughter, and I've got actually he's a flush calf. There's 3 of them that 2 hocus pocus and 1 Pearl Harbor that's really good out of that cross. So,
did we see any of the other ones today?
No, the other 2 are lefts or look like they're going to be lefts. But
has that cow hit before?
Yeah, this will be. She's had. Fireworks was a good bull she had, and then she had another bull that 657 was his number, but I can't remember what I called him. But she's had a couple before that's been good.
There was another calf today, a solid black calf, right there in the gate. He figured the deal out. Change deliveries, it didn't slow him down a whole lot. 839, I think was his number. Tell us about that one.
Right. Yeah, he's a stone sober out of a Margie Time daughter, and I bucked him 5, 6 times out of the left, and he's been outstanding every time. But he's always went right, and just jump 4 foot in there and have that stone sober kind of intensity and getting in the air and raring, and we worked him like I said, and he bucked him once before on the right, and he got tangled up, but you could tell that's the way he wanted to go. And today he just acted like he'd done it all his life, and that's encouraging. It makes all the trouble and the time worthwhile. And when one of them hooks up there and does what they're supposed to do.
Do you see some of those calves that are all sired by the same bull, say stone sober for example? Do you see tendencies in them, like they all tend to take longer, or they all tend to take more trips, or they all tend to be more automatic, or they all tend to like to go one direction or the other? I mean, have you noticed? Is there anything like?
Yeah, there are some for sure, and some of the craziest things you wouldn't expect. You notice more than the others, but you see their bucking patterns and shoot procedure, and just little everyday things that you wouldn't think could be heritable, they are. So yeah, you see a lot of that, and that's pretty cool to see that kind of come to light. And it's really neat for me to see it at the events. I love when they list their pedigrees on the day sheets, and you can sit there and it's really interesting to watch those good bulls buck. And you'll see Playboy, or you'll see Bodacious, or you'll see some of them old school bulls show up in their bucking style or patterns, So it's fun for me, and especially especially the bulls you know personally, and some of their little tendencies or habits that you wouldn't think could be heritable that are. So it's pretty neat. But yeah, everything I think is heritable. It's just crazy that it is, but it's that way.
How's Stone Sober been as a sire for you?
Good, really good, and little hit and miss because his.
I mean, he was a little wild. He wasn't real patterned. Do his calves tend to be a little more patterned, or a little?
No, he was more patterned than his calves, I'd say. But he's just was so erratic, and wild, and no telling what he was thinking half the time. And some of them calves are the same way, and they're really tough. They're tough-minded little things, and they take a lot of work and a lot of loving on. They're not the kind you want to start a fight with. Because they'll fight you till the bitter end. So they're the ones that you need to really kind of pet on, love on, go easy around them. They take a very little bit of pressure, goes a long way with them. So and that going in. So you try to encourage the guys in the back and the guys all around them to move quiet and slow, and don't try to get in no big hurry with them, because just one little step will get 20 from them, So, but if you play your hand right, you'll get a lot of good out of them. They got a lot of energy and a lot of ability, but you can blow their minds up if you're not careful. They're good stuff. It's a magic maker.
We've talked about F20. We've talked about 839. HD, tell me, what did I miss? What do you think is in that set of bulls out of the right-hand delivery that maybe is going to show up here in a little bit? Maybe didn't quite show out today like he needs to.
Yeah, 57F is the black that fell, that tried to go left and he fell, and he didn't show today. But he's a magic maker out of a tested daughter, so he's double bred, Shepherd Hills tested, and he's always just air dogged it, just went crazy in the air and really extended his kicks and went about 2 and just looked like he was just hunting for a right-hand lead, and then he'd go right and just do some crazy stuff. And today he tried to go left out of the right and got tangled up and landed on his ear, But I expect great things from him. He just got so much ability and so much intensity, and so that's when I think a guy will hear his number, next year at the Futurities is 57F.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and I hope everybody enjoyed this little talk, this little practice session. It was kind of neat to get to see you do work, kind of behind the scenes. Not everybody gets to see that.
Appreciate your help. You come to the video and put you to work, so I appreciate that.
Just while the other guy had to go take a dump is all. I had to put a few dummies on, but drug some flanks and dummies out of there, and it was fun. And we'll come back and see you sometime.
Yeah, look forward to it.